It is time for On the Road, presented by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Click it or ticket. LeBron's historic all-around run in his 2017 postseason. Better on the road in points, rebounds, and assists. And tonight, in one of his favorite places, a great stage, the TD Garden. And right now, it is my pleasure to bring in the man whose voice is the soundtrack for NBA Finals for multiple generations, one of America's great play-by-play men. Mike Fratello did not write this intro. He is Marv Albert. Marv, good to see you.
Same here. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us. And tonight may be a chance for you to call another malady game, as LeBron is apparently under the weather.
He has what is termed, and this is not medical terminology, but a bug. Although the Cavaliers, we were talking with Tyronn Lue a few moments ago, say that he's fine, as is Kevin Love and as is Kyrie Irving, who both had some ankle difficulties. But, yeah, it's I know there have been some comparisons made here on Boston television and radio to the Michael Jordan flu game. Michael was really very, very sick. So it was either food poisoning or a virus. I mean, this was a situation where he was carrying people off the he was being carried off the court by Scottie Pippen. And despite the fact that he was dehydrated and really suffering, put up 38 points. This was 1997. We did this game on NBC, and I felt that there was somebody behind me. Thank you, Chris. Chris always wants to make certain that everything's good. Thank you, Chris. Chris and Reggie, who both have just completely annoyed Tyronn Lue and Brad Stevens by asking too many questions on our usual get-together. And this happens every game where we sit with the coaches and they say Reggie isn't enough.
Well, we know this. If a star player is ill, Marv Albert has the microphone. Willis Reed many years before that as well. But
I was 12 at the time, Vince.
I know. Very young play-by-play man. Marv, is calling a closeout game different? If so, how is that, and what are you expecting tonight?
Well, there is more drama to it, and this has been a series with so many twists and turns. You had the first two games, which are blowouts. The second game, we kept looking at the final score and saying, is this, for those of you who may have just tuned in, that score is correct, a 50-point deficit, and the Cavaliers beat the Celtics by 44 points. And then in the stunner, in Game 3 in Cleveland, they're down by, 21 points, and they come back, the Celtics do, and beat the Cavaliers. And then you had LeBron with the 4 fouls in the first half the other night, and Kyrie Irving exploding for one of the great performances in, I thought, playoff history. So it's been kind of an intriguing series. Tonight, it's so difficult to say. This crowd never expected to see the Celtics coming back, I'm sure, for Game 5 after they left after Game 2. So they're going to be wild. I mean, it'll be a raucous type situation. And I think anything can happen. I mean, I don't know. No one seems to know what LeBron's actual situation is in terms of his health, but he seemed to lack energy the last 2 games.
Mark, before I let you go, the LeBron and comparison to Michael Jordan, that debate fills airwaves throughout the day. And you've called games, obviously, championship games with both players. What do you say when you're asked to compare these two players?
Well, I think it's so difficult, and I know you guys discuss this often, but it's so difficult to compare 2 eras. And Michael played at a time when there was a lot of physical play. You could put your hands on, the defender could put hands on the offensive player. Today, it's a little bit different type situation. But, with defenses now, it's a more fluid type scenario for the offense. So I think it's so hard to compare, but still at this moment, I would go with Michael. I'm not talking necessarily about records. I'm talking more about impact. And also remember, at that time in the 90s, you didn't have any one and done. You basically had, there were a couple of guys who made the jump before the rules would change, but it seemed to be a more mature league at the time. So there's so many different types comparisons that you can make, particularly with the travel conveniences now that you had back in, say, late 80s, early 90s.
That's a great point, and I'm all for maturity, Marv, particularly when it comes to broadcasting. So Appreciate you being
have
here
a
tonight.
talk with my two partners, Chris and Reggie, about that?
Will do. Marv Albert, have a great call tonight. Looking forward to it. Up at TD
All
Garden.
right, thank you,
Thank you
Vince.
for the time.